Alright, I'm bored. Let's go. So, I'm just going to go over para 3, which is the mechanic that happens after Super Chain 1, which is where we left off. Right? So, after para dialogos, after dialogos, whatever happens, and then you have an on the soul raid wide. After the on the soul raid wide, which is this. Yeah. The boss is going to recenter herself, at which point all the supports should reorient their cameras so that they know where north is. You'll see why in a bit. So she recenters herself, casts Paradigma, this is para 3, adds Spawn, Engravement of Souls, they go out. Tethers and debuffs go out, okay? And this is where the duties, so this is the one mech where the duties of the supports and the DPS are very, very different from each other. Okay, so for now, ignore the tethers. The tethers are the DPS's job to deal with, right? As a support, your priority is first looking at your party list. 2 of the supports will have tower debuffs, right? The same tower dildos that we've seen all this while. 1 of the supports will have a plus debuff, 1 of the supports will have an X debuff. If you have a plus, you go north. If you have an X, you go south. If you have a tower debuff, where you go depends on whether or not you're a healer or a tank, and which healer you are. So the party finder standard is the healer's anchor to the light party's sides. So if you're healer number 1, you always go west if you have a tower. If you are healer number 2, you always go east if you have a tower. Okay? So plus north, no matter who you are. X south, no matter who you are. If you are a healer number 1 with a tower debuff, you go west always. If you are healer number 2 with a tower debuff, you go east always. The tanks are the flex. So if it's 1 tank, 1 healer, the tank with the tower debuff will always go to whichever side is not filled out by a healer. So as with this case, you have the towers on 1 tank, 1 healer. So if Papaya were healer number 1, she'd go west, and Lamia would head east to fill out the blank spot, right? If Papaya were healer number 2, she'd go east instead, and Lamia would fill out west for the tank spot. In the event that both tanks get the tower debuffs, then main tank takes west, off tank takes east. Okay? So yeah, that's the priority. So first things first is just look at your debuffs, go to whichever cardinal direction you're on. One of the tiles, as in the alternating tiles, are going to fall. Okay, so this is where I just pull up the Hector video because it does help to have a top-down look at this point. So yeah, the alternating tiles are going to fall, right? It can be like this, or it can be this tile, this tile, this tile, and this tile falls. So use your eyes, look at which tile is the safe one, right? So if you're the north, if you're going north, you want to be on this tile. If you're east, you this tile, etc., whatever. Okay, so once you get yourself to your relevant respective safe tiles, your next order of priorities is to take a tower. So each of these 4 safe tiles will have a tower spawn on them. You just get into those towers. Alright. So, yeah. That's your first order of operations. Once you have resolved the towers, I'm going to talk about the plus and X first. So, the plus and X debuffs are going to drop plus shape and X shaped AoEs shortly after the towers resolve. So once these 2 people have taken their towers, they want to go wherever they need to go to drop those AoEs to create a safe space for everyone else in the middle, right? So the person with the X down south is going to head to the midline and drop their X like this, right? On the southernmost edge, middle line of the arena. Okay? Southernmost edge, midline. Whereas the person with the plus shaped debuff is going to drop it at the northernmost edge on the outside, right? On the outside. So like that. Okay. And of course, this can be on the other side as well, depending on where the safe tiles are. Okay. So that's your once you've taken the towers, that's your second order priorities. Drop your AOE's in a safe to create a safe space for everyone else here. Okay. Your third order of priorities, you see these two ads hanging out here. So there's always going to be an ad hanging out on the safe platforms of the people dropping the plus and X debuffs. So the northernmost and southernmost tiles. These ads are the same ads as the ones right at the beginning that shoot out two lasers each that are proximity baited. Okay. So once you're done dropping the your respective AoEs, go near to the ads and bait a laser outwards. Right. So I don't care where, as long as it's outwards, away from the party. Right. So just like stand here or something and have the laser shoot at you this way. Right. Or if you are down south, you can just stand here and have the laser shoot out that way, somewhere here. Okay. So just directed away from the party. So in full time, this is what it looks like with actual footage. Okay, so the tethers and debuffs went out. Carva has the plus debuff here. I do have a clip of him with the X debuff. I'll stick it in the descriptions. All right, but I'm just going to show the plus debuff. So he heads north. He gets himself to the safe tile on the north, and he takes a tower. That's first order priorities. Then he goes to the outside edge, drops the AoE, goes right up to the ad, and baits the laser. Okay, that's your order priorities if you have a plus or X. If you are support with a tower debuff, again, you are either east or west. Same thing, your first order of priorities is taking a tower. Okay. But for you, where you stand in your tower, you just have to be a little bit careful because your DPS are going to be shooting laser lines all over the horizontally across the middle. So just use your eyes. Your tower is going to be here, right? If you stand dead middle of the tower, there's a very high chance you're going to get clipped by the straight line lasers. So whichever, if you're a support with a tower debuff and you're on the east or west, just use your eyes. Position yourself in your tower slightly more towards the person who has their tether slanted this way, right? So that you don't get clipped by a laser, because the lasers are actually quite huge, right? And if you stand dead middle of your tower, there's actually a pretty high chance you're gonna get clipped by one of the lasers and die. All right. So that's your first order of priorities. Take a tower. Take whatever tower is on your tile. And then your next order of priorities is just to drop your tower, right? Because remember, you have a tower debuff. You're about to drop a tower. Where you drop your tower, though, is slightly trickier, because remember, whatever tower element of tower you drop, it needs to be filled by a person of the opposite element. Okay, so in this particular example, like, I'm just gonna pull it back a little bit. Yeah, in this particular example, this person, right, the main tank here, they are dropping a light tower, and the 2 DPS that is on their side are going to get a dark debuff after they've been shot by their lasers. So this is fine, right? You've got 2 people who are of the appropriate element to take that light tower. So if the DPS on your side have tethers that are of the opposite element to your tower, great. You just drop the tower somewhere on on the same platform as them, just somewhere mid here. Okay? But if you are this person, the in this example, the OT, right? He's got a light tower, but the DPS on his platform are both light debuffs because they were shot with the light tethers. They can't take this tower, which means what this person needs to do is go all the way mid, right, under the boss, and drop their tower smack under the boss. Because, so the idea is that you want to make the tower reach over to the other side. So I'm just gonna pull that, whatever, etc., etc. Yeah. So here you can see like he's just dropping it dead mid, while this person, because the two DPS can take the towers just fine, he's just dropping it middle of this safe platform, dodging the AoEs. This one will go dead middle. The idea then is that a tower will drop and it will stretch across to the other side so that one of the DPS on this platform can go in and take that teeny little slice of a tower there. Okay? So that's all you have to do for the tower debuff people. They have only two duties, right? Unlike the plus X people, right? So you just have to fill out a tower, don't get shot while you're filling out a tower, and then once your tower has resolved, you go and drop your tower. So while you're taking your tower, please go look at what color tether the DPS on your platform have. If the DPS on your platform match the element of your tower, you need to go dead middle. If the DPS on your platform are of the opposite element from your tower, then you just drop your tower somewhere in the middle of your platform. Okay. So and then the DPS will take the towers. Past that point, it's not your job. Your job is just to mitt and heal up for the incoming raid wide that will happen after the remaining towers get resolved. So to see what this looks like from tank POV again, right? So whoops, that was a bit, sorry, let me pull this right back from the beginning. Engravement of Souls. Okay. So Carvar realizes he's got a tower debuff, right? The other person who has a tower debuff is Papaya, who happens to be healer 2, which is why he's heading west to fill out the space that Papaya is not. It's going to the safe tile, gets into the tower here. Right. And then, yeah, and then, whoops, I forgot to see it, right? Yeah. So, as I said earlier, right, when you're in your tower, I'm just gonna slowly inch this back. No, never mind. Here. Yeah, as you're standing here, just keep an eye on where the tethers are going, right? Don't be too close to this straight line tether. You want to be a little bit more to this side because that's where the lasers are. Okay, so Caravar has a dark tether, has a dark tower, and the two DPS on his side are also dark, which means that Caravar will need to head mid. So he's heading mid. He's dropping the tower. Right? And then he just gets out of it, and the DPS on the other side will resolve. Okay. So while you're taking towers, just look at the DPS on your side and take note of what element they are, so that you know where to go. Okay. So yeah, and I'll drop the link to this clip in the description as well, so that you can see it in full time. Now, as a DPS, your first order of priorities is to get your tethers stretched. So I'm just gonna turn off the sound. Paradigma. So the DPS always get tethers. Okay. So 2 light tethers, 2 dark tethers, they're always on the same side. As in the same element, same side, right? Your first order of priorities is just stretch your tethers. Okay. So in general, just stretch your tether straight. If you stretch your tether straight and you realize you will end up on a platform that is about to fall, then very simple, you cross your tether over to the adjoining safe platform. So as my tether, if I stretch it directly straight without slanting it, I end up on a safe platform. So I just stay there. But this person, the summoner, can't, because their tether comes from here, the ad that is here, and if they stretch out the tether straight, they end up on an unsafe platform, so they just cross it. Okay? This is the single most stupid cause of wipes, but you will see this happen over and over and over again until the DPS figure out exactly where they can stand. Because the placement of these tethers are actually super finicky. It is very easy to clip people, each other with your tethers, with your tether beams, because of the way that it's crossed and shit. Okay? So a few rules. Number 1, don't pull your tether back any further than it needs to go to get it like resolved and non-spiky, right? As you can see, for me, I'm over here. If I pull backwards any further than this, the beam that is here is gonna clip me. So if I go back any further, I'm gonna die to this beam coming from behind me. So that's rule number 1. Do not go backwards any further, especially if you have the straight tether. Do not go backwards any further than it takes to resolve this tether. As a rule of thumb, you can actually use this marker right next to you. There's always going to be a marker right next to you, as a sort of, well, as a marker, right? In general, somewhere about midway to 3/4 of this marker is good enough. Don't go any further than that. Don't go any further back. You're gonna get clipped. Rule number 2. If you are a straight tether, which I am, right? Pull it directly parallel to the edge of the arena. So do not slant this tether outwards, right, to the edge of the arena. As a straight tether, you do not go to the edge of the arena. You pull it straight directly parallel to the edge of the arena. The reason for this is if you slant this tether, you're gonna end up clipping someone. Like specifically, you're gonna end up clipping this person, right? Because there's a person on the end of this. They're standing here. So if you slant this tether out, you're gonna end up clipping. Actually, no, you're not gonna end up clipping anyone. You are going to end up getting clipped by this, by this slanted tether coming out from behind you. Yeah. Okay, so stand here, directly parallel. As a slanted tether, as a cross tether, you want to go all the way out to the edge. Okay, so go all the way as close to the edge as you can without falling off. And the reason for that is because if you don't create a steep enough angle for your laser, yeah, you are the one who will clip the person on the other side. Because I don't know if you can see that traveler tag there. There's a person standing there, right? So if your laser line goes this way, you're gonna end up clipping that poor person. So pull it out as far to the edge as possible. Create as steep an angle as you can. Okay, so this is super finicky. Like parties in Party Finder, like trying to prog the mech after this, usually actually just end up with endless para 3 memes because they don't understand how to position the tethers so that is not tether clip central. Okay, so I repeat, Do not go out further than you need to for your tethers to resolve. If you are straight line tethered, pull it parallel. Do not slant it. Do not do funky things with it. If you are crossed, go all the way to the edge. Done. Um, Stuff resolves. Right? You get shot. Uh, this is where ideally some you while you're resolving your tethers, while you're waiting for the tethers to fire, you should have been looking at the party list to check what color the towers are. Right. So before the before the lasers go off, you can see the color of the towers. Right. So if you are a light, if you are a light tether, you know you are going to need to take towers after this. If you are dark tethers, you're going to be baiting ads instead. Well, get to that later. Okay, so in this case, I was in fact light tether, so I will be on tower baiting duty. So there's going to be two towers. The support on my platform will drop one tower. The support on the other platform here will be dropping a tether to reach over to the other side. The standard party finder priority is whoever had the crossed tether. So in other words, in this case, the summoner will be taking the one mid, right? Where whoever had the straight tether will be taking the one that is on the platform. I honestly don't think it makes much sense because, as you can see, the one with the straight tether is actually the one who's closer to mid. So my static actually does the opposite, but yeah, just for info's sake, this is Party Finder priority. So Party Finder priority, straight tether takes the one on the platform, cross tether goes all the way mid. Okay. Again, please wait for the towers to drop before you go in. Don't pre-position. If you get the tower dropped on your head, your element is going to change color, and you will not be able to resolve the tower. You'll just blow everyone up instead. Okay, so just be out of the way of the supports until it drops, until the towers drop, and then just hop into the towers. Okay. So in full time, just to see, just to let you see. So I just stretch my tethers. I get myself out of the way of the AoEs, as well as the tower drops. I go in to fill the tower. Just be a little bit careful because I don't know if you could see, but earlier here there's an ad. Whoops, no. Okay. So there's an ad over here, right? It is actually possible for one of the tower people to accidentally bait an ad beam by being too close. So just be careful. Try not to be. I actually am closer to the edge of the arena than I really to the edge of the platform than I should be. Than is wise because I could have accidentally baited a beam, and that would kill me. All right, so just be careful there. Yeah, so once you get into tower, that's your job done. Hit mid immediately after so that you can get healed up for the incoming on the soul raid white. Okay, so there's going to be a raid white right after it. So just everyone immediately hit mid because the healing can be a bit sketch due to everyone being spread out. Okay. If you are a DPS with same color tether as the towers, then after you get shot by your laser, after you get shot by your tethers, you are on ad baiting duty. Whoops, this is not the clip that I wanted. What am I doing? Nonsense. Wait. Sorry. There. Right. Put the logos. Whatever. Paradigma. Yeah. So if you are DPS, with the same color tether as the towers, right? So I have a dark tether here. So as you can see, my positioning for the cross tether, right? I've gone out all the way to the edge. So just stretch it to see, and then if you realize you'll end up on a platform waterfall, cross it. I go all the way out to the edge, right? And then I look at the party list. I realize, oh, okay, it's gonna be dark towers, which means that I cannot take those towers, which means I am on ad baiting duty. So there's always gonna be one ad here ish, and one ad like there ish. So if you are a cross tether, just stay on the outside edge of the platform and go to the midline. This is true no matter what configuration of tiles you have. Whoever has the cross tether just needs to head straight to the midline and stay on the outside edge so that you bait that ad. Um, Whoever had the straight tether, I don't know if you can actually see. Whoever had the straight tether, there, okay. So there's someone with a straight tether standing here. There's gonna be an ad here. So the straight tether can just stay here, the middle of their platform on the marker. So just after you're done taking the straight line beam, edge onto the marker here that you're right next to. That's it. You will bait an ad beam like straight down this way. Okay. Yeah. So yeah, you can actually see the angel here. Okay. So cross tether, head to the midline while staying on that edge of the platform. Straight tether, just stay on the marker and beat the ad that is like across from you. That's all. So you can see the lasers come off there. Okay. So I'll drop a clip into the description so that you can see in full time. And that is that, right? So right after that, like I said, the healing on this can be a little bit sketch if the healers, if the plus and X end up on both healers, because then what happens is that you will have one healer all the way north and one healer all the way south. I have had healers die before because they were missing each other's AoE heals. So if in that sort of situation, just keep a very close eye on your health if you happen to have both healers like all the way north south. Um, you may need to spot heal yourselves because of the fact that you will be missing each other's heals. And for that same reason, like, yeah, the way that everyone is spread out, like, just keep a close watch on the squishy members of your DPS especially, right? And make sure that they all hit mid right after this, because yeah, the raid wide happens quite soon after. Right after that raid wide will be the double swapped line tank buster again, right? So yeah, Glaucopus. So just same thing, double swap. And after that will be limit cut. So that is a topic for another video.